Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you my proven low-budget Facebook advertising strategy. With just $30 per day, you'll be able to use this strategy to build cash flow and start making money. This is the same strategy that I use to scale my dropshipping stores with 0 credit cards and only a few $100s to my name. And it's the best way to get started for those of you that don't have enough money to run my normal CBO strat. I'm John from Verum Ecom, and in this video, I'll show you guys exactly how you can start building cash flow like this, with a starting budget of just $30 per day. If that's something you're interested in, make sure to follow along closely. Let's get into it.
We'll start with testing phase 1. The objective of phase 1 will be to find a good audience and a good advertisement. Once we have an advertisement we're happy with, we'll take our profitable audiences from this phase and use them to find audiences that are even more profitable in the next phase. Before you begin, I want to let you know that this method works best for products that you can sell for $30 or less. Since your cost per purchase or the amount you spend on ads is directly correlated with your product's price, having a product that is too expensive will make your target cost per purchase too high to make good decisions on a low budget. In other words, the higher the price of your product, the more you have to be willing to spend on ads. So for this strategy, we recommend products that you can sell for $30 or less. You can move on to higher ticket items once you've built up some cash. Now, start by creating a new campaign in Ads Manager. Then set the campaign's buying type to auction and set its objective to conversions. I know a lot of people suggest setting the objective to post engagement or video view, and I've tested out both, but I found conversions is the best way to go. Not only are you getting higher quality data for scaling, but you actually have a chance to make sales right away. Anyways, inside of the campaign you just made, make 10 ad sets. For all of those ad sets, set the conversion event to purchase. Give each of them a budget of $3 and schedule them to start the next day. For location, target our e-packet list. For age and gender, I leave it as is and let Facebook decide, but if your product is specifically for men or women, then you should change it. For language, make sure to select English all. Optimization should default to conversions, and conversion window should already be 7-day click or 1-day view. Lastly, let's talk about detailed targeting. Start by excluding dropshipping as an interest. This will help prevent other dropshippers from copying you. Then find 10 interests to include, 1 for each ad set. This will be the only setting that you have to decide for yourself. I suggest looking for interests with at least 10 million people or more. I know a lot of you guys will be stressing about picking the perfect interest, but I don't spend too much time thinking about interests. Since Facebook's machine learning is so good nowadays, as long as you give it a big enough audience, it will do all the heavy lifting and find the buyers for you. Just sit back and observe the data as it flows in before thinking too hard. You'll be narrowing down the broad interest later on anyways, once you find out what's actually working. To give you an example of how I pick interest though, let's just say I'm selling a neck hammock, a device that's supposed to help people with neck problems. I'll start by coming up with a general audience that I want to market to. Big niches like outdoors or beauty. In this case, I'm thinking the general audience is people with posture problems. So I'll start coming up with a list of interests that I think people with posture problems will be into. Since Facebook has so many data points, you can come up with all kinds of different phrases, and Facebook will have people ready for you to target. Here are some phrases I might come up with: poor posture, neck pain, and aging. When I type these into Facebook, I'll click suggestions and use those to expand my list. Eventually, I'll end up with interests like neck, poor posture, spinal cord, old age, cervical vertebrae, health and wellness, and aging. If you take a look, all these interests are very broad and have audience sizes ranging from several million to hundreds of million. They're also all related to my original target audience, which is people with posture problems. Once you've got your interest targets picked out and your ad set set up, I suggest making 2 different ads for each of your ad sets. This will let you test 2 different creatives for each ad set. This is an example of a creative we made just to give you an idea. If you want the full details behind this ad, including the store name and how we sold it, check out our free course video which covers everything from start to finish. After you have the creative set up, launch your campaign. After a day, we'll start killing underperforming ads. Because we're limited on budget, we want to kill ads very fast. So after 1 day, take a look at the ads level, use the filter by selection, and look at each of your 2 creatives separately. Kill the creative with a higher cost per click, and let the one with a cheaper cost per click keep on running. If both of the creatives have a cost per click higher than $1 though, kill everything and start over with 2 fresh videos. At this point, you should either be running one of your original creatives for day 2, or you should be in the process of coming up with 2 new creatives and restarting from day 1. On day 2, look at the ad sets level and kill any ad sets that don't have any add to carts. On day 3, kill ad sets without any purchases. Now, if you have at least 2 ad sets still alive, you can move on to the next phase. If you only have one ad set with a purchase though, kill everything and start over with a new creative, and replace any interest that didn't get any sales. We recommend starting over with new creatives because your video was probably unprofitable as a whole. Once you have 2 ad sets with a purchase, you can move on to testing phase 2. The objective of testing phase 2 is to verify that the results of testing phase 1 are going to be consistent. We want to make sure these purchases weren't just by pure luck. Also, we want to make sure the interests we selected are actually the best fit for our product. We'll confirm this information by selecting other interests that are related to our profitable interests from phase 1. For example, let's just say that in testing phase 1, the interests neck and muscle each made 2 sales. What we're going to do in testing phase 2 is expand upon these broad interests by finding related interests. To do that, I'll plug neck into detailed targeting and then click on suggestions. It'll pull up all relevant interests related to neck. I usually select interests that have around 5 million plus, so in this example I picked shoulder, spinal cord, joint, and cervical vertebrae. Now, I'll do the same thing with muscle. I plugged it into detailed targeting and clicked on suggestions. This time I picked men's fitness, physical exercise, workout, and protein. At this point you should have 10 interests total, including the original winning interest from phase 1. Using these interests, set up a campaign with the same structure as before with the same number of ad sets. For all 10 of the ad sets, use the same settings from phase 1, except this time switch out the interests to the ones you just found. Lastly, you'll need to make 2 ads for each of those ad sets. Both of the ads should be duplicates of the winning creative from phase 1. I know this is a little bit confusing, so if you want the reasoning behind it, check out the advertising section of the free course we uploaded. Now, run the campaign. Most likely your results should be drastically better than testing phase 1. This is because we've narrowed in on the niche by selecting interests that are related to the winning interest in phase 1. We'll go ahead and apply the same rules to this phase as we did in testing phase 1. On day 1, kill the creative with a higher CPC. If both of the creatives have CPCs higher than $1, kill both creatives and go back to testing phase 1. On day 2, kill ad sets with 0 add to carts. On day 3, kill ad sets with 0 purchases. Move into testing phase 3 if you have at least 2 ad sets with a purchase. Otherwise, you should go back to testing phase 1. Alright, this is the final phase of testing. The objective is to collect more data profitably and build strong lookalike audiences for a scaling phase which is coming up next. Start by grabbing the winning ad sets from testing phase 2 and duplicating them into a new CBO campaign with a budget of $90 per day. Then set a minimum ad spend for each of your ad sets by dividing the CBO budget by 2, then dividing the number of ad sets inside your campaign. In this example, we had 7 profitable ad sets in phase 2. Shoulder, spinal cord, joint, cervical vertebrae, muscle, men's fitness, and physical exercise. So I set a min spend of $6.50 for each of them. Other than that, we can keep everything else the same as testing phase 2. The reason why we're using a CBO in phase 3 is because at higher budgets, CBOs outperform ad sets drastically, and they're also much easier to scale. This is because all the data is managed at the campaign level, allowing the campaign to collect far more data than it traditionally could. Okay, so just like in the previous phases, we're going to apply kill rules to the CBO as well. However, the rules will be slightly different because we're spending a far greater budget. Start by letting the CBO run for 2 days, then take a look at the campaign level. If the cost per purchase is more than $10 above your target cost per purchase, kill the campaign and go back to testing phase 2 with new creatives. If your cost per purchase meets your target cost per purchase, then take a look in the campaign. Kill any ad sets that have spent 2 times the target cost per purchase and have 0 purchases. Then kill any ad sets that are unprofitable and have spent 4 times your target cost per purchase. At this point, you can start scaling the CBO if it meets your target cost per purchase. Simply double the budget every 2 days as long as it's profitable. If it starts to break even or lose money when you scale, scale down to the original budget until it stabilizes before you try to scale again. Also, for those of you who are wondering how do I calculate target CPP, it's really simple. Follow this simple formula. First, pick a net profit margin that you would be comfortable with. I picked 20% since that's what I usually aim for. Then plug it into this formula. Price times 1 minus net profit you want minus product cost equals target CPP. Now this will give you the exact target CPP you have to aim for to get the net profit you want. Alright, so after you've spent a total of $500 on the entire ad account, including the money you spent on testing phases 1 and 2, move on to scaling phase 1. Even if you didn't make it to testing phase 3, if you've spent $500 in total, you should move on to scaling phase 1, where you'll use the data you've collected to make lookalike audiences. The objective of scaling phase 1 is to find lookalike audiences that are insanely profitable. To do this, we'll start at the top of the funnel where we have the most amount of data and slowly work our way down as we spend more and more on the ad account. If you want to learn more about the sales funnel and why it's super important for running ads, then make sure to check out our previous video on how to fix your conversion rate. Anyways, after spending $500 total, you should make lookalike audiences for Facebook engagement, page view content, and view video 75%. Then you can test these audiences using our normal CBO strategy. If you're still nervous about how it will perform, you can run the campaign with a budget as low as $100. You should be pretty confident about your product at this point though, and also have some money built up from the last 3 phases if you were successful. To learn about our normal CBO strategy, go to the advertising portion of the free course video I keep on mentioning. It should help you scale from this point on. Now, before I let you go, I want to give you guys some tips on managing cash flow when you're scaling. Since most of you guys will be coming from small budgets, you'll need to think about this carefully. When I was first starting, I didn't know anything about managing cash flow. I ended up scaling way too fast and didn't have enough money to cover product costs after paying for ads. Even though I was profitable, I didn't realize that Shopify only pays out during the weekdays. So when I scaled up during the weekend, I had to pay a ton in ads and products upfront before getting paid out on Monday. It led to a huge headache with tons of customer service claims and emails from Shopify risk team. So I really recommend you to avoid running out of money when scaling. I know it can be hard to reserve your budget when your ads are profitable, but trust me, it's better to slow down and make sure all your bases are covered. My biggest tip is to keep an eye on your bank account cash balance to ensure that even when your sales indicate profit, you're able to process out the incoming orders on the same day. If you run out of cash on profitable ads and can't pay for the orders, a 7-day delay can lead to a lot of problems. If you scale without cash, you'll end up being blocked by declined cards and delayed orders. So it's important to know how much you're operating with, as e-commerce works in a very cash-in, cash-out manner. Also, be on alert for emails notifying you of a reserve on your cash-out balance. These reserves usually range from 10 to 25% of all transactions and are usually held for 90 days before being released. If you get hit with a reserve, make sure you can still run ads and pay for products with the cash flow that isn't being held. Otherwise, you might need to open a credit card to pay for some things up front, knowing that you'll have the money released in the future. If you get hit with a reserve, but your store is not profitable enough to fund everything on the remaining cash flow, look into alternative payment processors to Shopify and Stripe. I recommend companies like Payment Cloud or BlueSnap. These companies are specifically for high-risk merchants and have lots of experience with handling dropshipping orders. Even though their processing rates are slightly higher, they will be more lenient on letting you scale without a reserve. Even if you don't get hit with a reserve, if you know your store is profitable, I recommend getting a credit card. You'll be able to scale way faster, rack up points, and build credit. And as long as you don't get a huge reserve on payments, you should be able to pay back everything without paying interest. I personally didn't use a credit card until I had already done 7 figures, but looking back, I probably should have gotten a credit card as soon as I knew I'd be profitable on my first store. It's not necessary, but it can definitely help you scale faster and avoid copiers scaling before you. I personally use both the Chase Business Inc. Preferred and Chase Sapphire Reserve. You can get 3 times reward points on Facebook ads for the Inc. card, and then get 1.5 times redemption value when you transfer those points to the Reserve card for travel. After that, I use Inc. Unlimited for 1.5% cash back instead of Inc. Business. With a typical sign-up bonus, it adds up to $7,750 for the first year and $6,750 for each year after in travel rewards. I'm not trying to sell you guys on a credit card, but it is a pretty awesome tool if you can use it right. Plus, traveling for free is pretty awesome.
So that's it for Verum Ecom's low-budget Facebook advertising strategy. If you learned something new from today's video, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. Just click on the button below this video, and if you want exclusive information like our excluded countries list or the flowchart used in this video, make sure to join our Facebook group. It's full of wonderful people that will be happy to help you out with anything related to dropshipping. And if you made it to the end of this video, leave a comment down below telling me what you want to see next. I have tons of ideas for upcoming videos, but I'd like to get a feel for what kind of topics you guys want covered. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.